All right, so I want to talk briefly about war, okay? And this Iran-Israel conflict's heating up right now, and then we have obviously the Ukraine-Russia conflict or war that's been going on for a few years. And what I want to talk about is how we speak about these conflicts. So, oftentimes you will see people use country names to define the conflicts, right? So it's Russia versus Ukraine, it's Israel versus Iran. And then we'll say, oh, is Russia winning? Is Ukraine winning? Who's winning the war? But that strips away the reality of the situation, okay? If Ukraine wins a war, and it comes at the cost of 500,000 people, numerous destroyed homes, destroyed infrastructure, and generational trauma that ends up creating the next war in the next century, did Ukraine really win? I don't think so. The point I'm trying to get across here is that it doesn't matter whether you're from Ukraine or Russia. If you're the average family from either of those nations, you're losing the war. The only people winning this war are, well, first of all, obviously the military-industrial complex, but second, the politicians and the dictators who are using your tax dollars to protect themselves and to send you to destroy their enemy. You have to realize here is that the average Ukrainian family and the average Russian family have more in common with each other than the average Russian family does with Putin. Until you realize this, you're going to keep prioritizing that national identity. You're going to keep prioritizing your identity with Russia instead of your identity with the average family throughout the world. We have to understand that just because your nation wins the war doesn't mean you win. That's not how this works. And when we generalize conflicts down to Russia versus Ukraine, you strip away all that nuance. The average Israeli and Iranian who are sitting here walking the streets of their city trying to go about their lives, getting bombed by the other nation, they have one thing in common, and that thing is fear. They fear death, right? They fear pain, and until they decide to protect the average family across the border, they're going to keep bombing each other, right? The bottom line here is that you can't prioritize that national identity or that racial identity or the religious identity. Oftentimes religious identities are tied directly to national identities. If you prioritize those identities above the human identity, you are going to end up hating the people who are different than you. It's xenophobia in essence, right? And this is what creates the conflicts. The conflicts are created because we put one subgroup of humanity on a pedestal above other subgroups. And then scared dictators or scared politicians end up running away and starting a war. That's what ends up happening. The politicians, the dictators who start these wars, they are actually the most afraid people throughout the world. They're the most fearful among all of us. And they might not realize it. They don't understand their own psychology. And the reason they don't understand it is because fear blinds logic. It blinds rationality. When you're afraid of something, you're going to do stupid shit. Plain and simple. And that's what psychotic behavior is. That's what sociopathic behavior is. It's when you can't think logically because you're so blinded by fear. Again, those politicians and those dictators who start these wars, they are afraid of the other. They're more afraid of the other countries than anybody else, and that's why they seek the power that gives them the ability to start a war with that other country. We have to understand that, like, if we generalize these conflicts into nation versus nation wording or phrasing, we lose all the nuance. We lose the understanding that the average family on both sides of every conflict loses. So give that a little thought. Thanks for watching.